Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my newest LP edition. Today I'm going to start off a game that I perceive to be one of the best roleplay action games that I've ever played in my whole gaming career. And that says a lot. We're going to delve into Deus Ex, action RPG made by Ironstorm in 2000. Also made by one of the head figures of that studio, Warren Spector. Ironstorm managed some pretty amazing game at that point. I think I read somewhere that it was called Shooter before. Just Shooter, like 3D Shooter, just Shooter. And then they changed the name over multiple times and out came Deus Ex. Besides the name that is actually brilliant in this case, because Deus Ex Machina is actually really what hits the nail in the coffin here. Or on the hat. I'm not even sure how you say that. Anyway, this game features a very interesting storyline, a very engaging gameplay, and some roleplay factors that go into the game there as well. It has added a multiplayer at some point, which was with the version 1.12F, which I currently own, as you can see down here. So there would be a possibility of doing multiplayer, but I'm rather focusing on the single-player campaign. Besides, I absolutely adore that campaign. And I absolutely love the music. The soundtrack is amazing of this game. And I love it because it, especially the intro sequence, is so engaging and so you can listen to it and say, dudes, if ever a music in an intro is that good, the game must be so great. Because good music normally means that the game has a high value of quality. Normally. Not always, but most of the time if you had good soundtracks, good dialogues, everything around, then the game is normally amazing. So, Deus Ex, what is all about? Why haven't I heard of this game maybe before? Well, Deus Ex is one of those games that actually most people today at least say, blah, graphics are so shitty, you're not going to play that at all. But I'm saying, graphics are not everything. As you saw in previous LPs that I've done, like Warzone 2100 and the likes, graphics is not everything. And this game proves it. As I said, engaging storyline, great soundtrack, great characters, in-depth gameplay, different possibilities how to approach a mission. And talking about missions, you are an agent called JC Denton. And JC Denton is part of a security or peacekeeping group called UNATCO. And UNATCO is, so to speak, the United Nations of the future, if you want. Protects, serves, and keeps peace. That is more or less what UNATCO is set out to be. The game has some very interesting plot twists, and I'm not going to spoil them right ahead, because I think that for people who haven't played this game yet, I think it's very important not to spoil anything at this point. I'm just saying, beware of plot twists. It's gonna be amazing. Just because this game is great. And I want you to show it in this game that all things can still be good if you know how to play them more or less right. We have different possibilities in this game, meaning we could do point 1, we could run around shooting people all over the time. We could have, second point, sneaking around and taking people out with non-lethal force. Like, for example, tranquil dots or electroshockers. Or we could choose a totally different path and just ignore the enemies completely and use, for example, their own equipment against them, like turrets or robots. So we have so many different possibilities that one has to think, how am I going to approach this game if I'm playing it the first time? Well, there is few things that you should remember. If you take out enemies with gun force, you'll have a harder time because, of course, enemies will hear you shooting somewhere and they will come running towards you and maybe even kill you. Who knows? The second possibility with just going silently is, of course, you need to hide the bodies. You can't just leave them there, because if enemies spot them, well, what are they gonna do unless sounding alarm? So they're gonna sound alarm. That's also something that you should be very wary of. Alarms can be very, very difficult to avoid in the beginning if you do not know what you're doing. But I've played this game numerous times. I think I'm quite okay with this game, so I should be fairly good in that regard. So there shouldn't be too many mess-ups at the beginning, hopefully. So it can show you the intensity that the game actually portrays. Now, while I'm talking about that, I just want to check quickly if I have said everything right. I believe so. Controls are fine. Yep. That is okay. Notice that I'm playing in 4 to 3 dimensions, because otherwise it just doesn't work. The game just cuts out the subtitles, and if anyone wants to read them, I want to keep them there. I've switched to blue and gold bars here because I think they're pretty much what I like the most.
I spill my drink.
I'm spilling my drink. Yes, you did indeed. Now, going to the gameplay itself, there's a few different things that I would like to mention that you should be aware of. Your agent is a, let's say, I wouldn't call him a cyborg per se, but let's say he's augmented by implants, by cybernetic implants. At the beginning you only have like something like light vision, so you have a small headlight, so to speak, to go into the darkness, like going left, right, if you have something dark somewhere. There's not night vision, but it's just projecting a light. That's that. And afterwards you can get more implants. For example, you can run faster, you can jump higher, you can lift enormously heavy things, you can, for example, deflect bullets, you can have electromagnetic drones that take out robots, you have self-healing, you've got anti-toxins, you've got a lot of stuff. And that is something I really enjoy about this game too, that you have very variable playstyle possibilities, even with the implants. For example, you can take away across a rooftop if you, for example, move a crate if you have the strength implant. Or you can run around a corridor where turrets shoot, well, fast enough if you have the speed implant. Or you can jump from roof to roof if you've got the speed implant. Or you can jump from high roofs if you have the speed implant. So there are many, many different possibilities how this game can play out. And that is something you should keep in mind. And I'm also going to apply some filters to this video, because the in-game graphics are so incredibly dark that for some reason it's just not gonna light up. I can do to the brightness whatever I want, it just doesn't light up. So I'm going to apply pre-processing filter to the video. I would like to know your opinions on this, so if you think the game is too dark or too bright, let me know down in the comments, please, because that is something I can't decide on my own. For me personally, I think it's fine, but I would like to know your opinion about this, so if you have criticism, good or bad, just post them down in the comments and I will look to them as soon as I can. Right, so actually let's not bore you any longer. We're gonna go into a new game. We're not gonna go for easy because easy is too easy, and I don't want to go on hard because I like to go in a normal, stable run. So we're gonna choose media. Now this is JC Denton. And as you already know, my nickname is Arrhenius, so we're gonna do that. Now, there is one thing that most of the people actually do not see here in this menu, is that pistols are already at trained level. You have a round point of 5,000 skill points that you apply to your skills here, and we will do that. However, we will downgrade pistols for now. So you have 6,575 points to apply to all of your skills here. Now, what you can see here, you can see what this actually does. So basically, if you apply nothing to computers, your agent can only read terminals and bullets. If you make it untrained, you can hack ATMs, computers and security consoles. Advanced increases that time and also speeds up the process. And it enables you to gain control of automated gun turrets. And if you're a master, well, it basically means you're better than better and you can do whatever you want, and as long as you like. Not completely, but more or less. Electronics is for bypassing locks, electronic locks or security cameras, something like that. Environmental training is for getting the most out of armor suits that protects you against environment stuff like radiation, poison, and so on. Lockpicking enables you to, well, open locks, as the name actually says. Medicine, on the other hand, increases your resistance to toxins. Also, you will heal more hit points with a medipack. Medipack! God darn it. Medipack. There we go. And the more you gain in that regard, the more damage you will heal with a medipack. Well, swimming actually explains itself. You can swim faster. Weapons demolition is for explosive devices like grenades and... Actually, it's just grenades, isn't it? Or proximity mines. Okay, yes, okay. So, proximity mines, grenades, and all that good stuff. That is something you will have to do, but not upgrade it. At least I did never do that. So, I don't know. I probably don't need it. Heavy weapons tech, on the other hand, is something I love to take, because it handles heavy weapons like rocket launchers. You can move faster with them, otherwise you are very slow moving with heavy weapons, I can tell you that much. And you will basically just outright die if you're not fast enough with this weapon. So normally I take 1 point of this at some point. Low-tech weapons are normally melee weapons, and that is okay. So you can do quite a good amount of damage with melee weapons later on in the game, especially with one specific weapon, which I'm not going to talk about yet. And you can do that quite nicely. Then weapons pistol, self-explanatory I would say. You can increase damage, accuracy, and reloading speed. And weapons rifle is the same for long-range rifles. However, what you should note is that with weapons that need to be aimed, like the longer you aim at a target, the better it is for you actually. The more accuracy you will gain. The more points you spend in that skill, the faster the crosshair will move together, so the faster you will have maximum accuracy. And that's something you should definitely worry about. Right, so for the beginning of the game, since I am more of a sneaky-ish person, I will take computer, electronics, and lockpicking. Right, that is the start off for that. I will try to go into advanced or mass in one of these. Normally I pick a lockpicking because you most of the time get less lockpicks than you get multi-tools. Multi-tools are used to bypass these electronic locks or devices. And at the beginning I normally take pistol because I think that is the best round-up start. So next up would be the rifle, probably. And then we will see what we do about that. So, actually, let's start off the game and view the intro sequence, shall we?
Your appointment to FEMA should be finalized within the week. I've already discussed the matter with the Senator.
I take it he was agreeable?
He didn't really have a choice.
Has he been infected?
Oh yes, most certainly. When I mentioned that we could put him on the priority list for the ambrosia vaccine, he was so willing it was almost pathetic.
This plague, the rioting is intensifying to the point where we may not be able to contain it.
Why contain it? Let it spill over into the schools and churches. Let the bodies pile up in the streets. In the end, they'll beg us to save them.
I've received reports of armed attacks on shipments. There's not enough vaccine to go around, and the underclasses are starting to get desperate.
Of course they're desperate. They can smell their death, and the sound they'll make rattling their cage will serve as a warning to the rest.
I hope you're not underestimating the problem. The others may not go as quietly as you think. Intelligence indicates they're behind the problems in Paris.
A bunch of pretentious old men playing at running the world. But the world left them behind long ago. We are the future.
We have other problems.
UNATCO?
Formed by executive order after the terrorist strike on the statue. I have someone in place, though. I'm more concerned about Savage. He's relocated to Vandenberg.
Our biochem corpus is far in advance of theirs, as is our electronic sentience. And their ethical inflexibility has allowed us to make progress in areas they refuse to consider.
The augmentation project?
Among other things, but I must admit that I have been somewhat disappointed in the performance of the primary unit.
The secondary unit should be online soon. It's currently undergoing preparation and will be operational within 6 months. My people will continue to report on its progress. If necessary, the primary will be terminated.
We've had to endure much, you and I, but soon there will be order again. A new age. Aquinas spoke of the mythical city on the hill. Soon that city will be a reality, and we will be crowned its kings. Not better than kings. Gods.
And I guess you can figure out what and who the bad guys are, right? Right, so we're in the game, and we're starting here at the destroyed Statue of Liberty. And before we continue, I'm gonna quickly cut the video off here because there's a conversation coming up which I do want to portray fully and its full potential. So, next time we're going to start the game off for real. So, I will see you then, operatives.